And well. Welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm WatchUK99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. Quick plug, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't yet, please like, please subscribe, share with a friend. Okay, let's get right to this. The New York Jets, their season is now over. A very disappointing 5-win season has come to an end with the victory over the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. And now we shift over to the part of the season when Jet fans get to actually have hope and be excited. It's the offseason, yes, that period between January and the end of August. And this is going to be a very transformative offseason, I think, for the Jets because you have to figure out general manager. You have to figure out head coach. Jets are the only franchise as of now that have to address both of those positions. And you don't know what's happening with your Hall of Fame quarterback. There are a lot of big decisions that are going to have to be made over the next couple of months. So what I wanted to do was come on here today and address what I think are the 10 biggest questions that the New York Jets have to answer between now and we'll say the draft, basically with roster shaping the organization. So between now and the draft is what we're going to look at. And I'm not going to ask, well, who are they going to draft? We'll figure that out over time as we get to know these players and these prospects better. But the number one question, who's going to be the head coach? That is, in my mind, the most important question that you could ask and that the Jets have to address. In no sport is the coach or manager more important than football. You have the biggest roster. You have each game means that much more. So it is important to start well and end well. And we know that the Jets, they're already putting their feelers out. They have requested to interview 8 or 9 different candidates already, which I am excited about. 2 interviews have been completed. The third will be completed this week when Rex Ryan gets his opportunity to interview with the owner. And that is going to be enormous. A lot of people were excited when Robert Saleh got hired. It didn't work out, but I have said it before. I'll say it again. The Jets need somebody who is going to command respect immediately. I think it's harder for a first-time coordinator to do that, so I am looking for somebody with experience. But if you are not a leader of men, if you are not going to command immediate respect, you need not apply for the job. Number 2, who will be the new general manager? What is his direction? What is his focus? Now, there's really not a general manager candidate who is really going to excite me. If they were to bring in Thomas Dimitroff, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, I'd be cool with it. But most of these guys, it's like, okay, he was this guy's second in charge. I mean, sure, anybody is going to look good as the assistant general manager in Kansas City. When they're bringing in that roster, when they're drafting Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I was the one who took care of that. I was the one who saw the greatness in Patrick Mahomes. So no matter who the general manager is, I'm not going to get overly excited, especially as big of a defender as I was and still am of Joe Douglas. Whoever the new GM is going to be, he's going to have a lot to prove. Number 3, what happens with Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to return to the Jets? It's a $49 million cap hit if he goes. And then there's the whole difference whether they were to let him go before or after June 1st, if they could spread that money out over 2 years, or if you take the entire $49 million over 1 year. I still believe financially the best thing to do is let Aaron Rodgers go. You just want to rip the Band-Aid off and start fresh as quickly as you can. But from a football perspective, I can't think of anybody they can bring in through the draft, through a trade, or free agency who will give you the production that Aaron Rodgers can give you next year. It's going to be a very difficult decision. I'm glad that Woody Johnson has at least said that the new general manager and coach will make that decision. Number 4, what happens with Davante Adams? Is he willing to renegotiate his deal with the Jets? Is he going to need Aaron Rodgers to come back in order for him to come? Now, he has said this week, he said on Monday, that it could weigh some on his decision to come back to the Jets, but it's not a situation where wherever Aaron goes, Davante goes. Okay, now the thing is, he has an enormous contract, $38 million next year, but none of it is guaranteed. That's the situation with the next 2 years. Okay, and it's an $8.3 million dead cap hit if he's cut before June 1st. Post June 1st, $30 million. So the Jets going to have to make a decision pretty soon on Davante, but at least there is no guaranteed money the next 2 years. But gosh, Davante and Garrett, as that 1-2 punch and wide receiver would be pretty amazing. Number 5, this would be, will we trade any of our young stars to help fuel a retooling of the roster? Sauce, Garrett, Breece, Jermaine are all extension eligible as of today, but we know you can't pay everybody. And there have been rumors that, Garrett's wanting a trade. I don't think it's really true. Garrett just wants to be able to win no matter where he does it. I don't expect Sauce to go anywhere. I don't expect JJ to go anywhere. Breece, you never know, just because he is a running back. I'd be a little surprised if we were to see a trade unless it was for a significant amount of draft capital, and that draft capital better come in for 2025. I'm not looking at draft picks in 2026. The next question, does Morgan Moses come back? To me, that's the only real question on the offensive line, and I've got a ton of respect for him. 33 years old, an absolute warrior, playing through injury after injury, playing through a high ankle sprain, just like Elijah Vera Tucker did. But Moses played as much as he could until he just couldn't do it anymore. But for a locker room that, for all intents and purposes, has had issues, has had accountability, Moses, to me, is one of the few adults in the room. So if you lose him, I think that could be a big blow to to the offense in particular. And for an offensive line that kind of came together, I thought very well. I think Moses is kind of that leader that you want to have. So I'd like to bring Morgan Moses back for another year. So that's number 6. Number 7, does Jamiensherwood come back? What a breakout season the 24-year-old had. A 5th-round pick that worked out. This year, 95 solo tackles, the most in the NFL. Tackles for a loss. He played 93% of snaps. He never played over 17% of snaps in a prior season. I guess he just needed his opportunity. And this year, he only made a little over $1 million. If JD was still here, I'm confident the Jets would re-sign Jamiensherwood and pair him with quinnenwilliams as their 1-2 punch at linebacker. With a new general manager, I don't know. And number 8, what happens with CJ Mosley on a related note? So he finished the season on IR. He said today he is not considering retirement, but he played only 4 games before his neck just gave him too many issues. The problem is CJ has a $12.7 million cap hit next year. If they cut him before June 1st, the dead cap hit is $16 million, meaning it's more expensive not to have him than to have him. If they cut him post June 1st, it's an $8.784 million hit. So the Jets would save $4 million that way. All right. So if CJ goes, it's probably going to happen after the draft. So that's going to be a big decision to make. Number 9, do the Jets bring back djreed at cornerback? I don't see it. People make a big deal out of the free agent comments that he made a week ago that he was looking forward to free agency. I can't blame him for that. But you have Sauce Gardner. I would consider keeping Brandon Eccles. I think he's a bit of a playmaker at cornerback. I give him an opportunity to start next year. Keep developing Quantis Stiggers. Michael Carter II should be back healthy next year. And I personally believe if you build up your defensive line, if you build up that front four, it makes the job of the secondary that much easier. So I'm pretty confident djreed has played his last game as a Jet. And if he has, it was a very, very good free agent signing. And finally, number 10, I want to address defensive tackle. Quinnenwilliams is a very, very good defensive tackle. I don't know if he is the elite level that maybe we hoped he was, but he's still a top 5, definitely a top 10 defensive tackle, I would say. But there has been like a revolving door of these defensive tackles that are on 1-year deals, and then they're out the door. Leki Fotu, Al Woods, Sheldon Rankins, who was here for 2 years, and that was the guy that they've never really replaced. Javon Kinlaw this year. Solomon Thomas we've had for a bit. Leonard Taylor showed a few glimpses at least, but the Jets have had issues stopping the run, and with this defense, so often the Jets would put Quinnenwilliams on those 30-35% of snaps. He's on the bench. He's off, and then the other teams can really run because Quinnen's not on the field. And, these other guys, they really weren't adept at stopping the run. Okay, Solomon Thomas, Javon Kinlaw. It was even Quentin Jefferson. For all the love Quentin Jefferson gets, people forget he was one of the worst run-stopping defensive tackles in the NFL the last couple of years. Good pass rusher, couldn't stop the run. So I would like to see that stop. I hope the Jets do address defensive line early in this draft, particularly defensive tackle. There'll be plenty of guys in that, that should be available at 7. So I'd like to see what the Jets wind up doing. And I hope they do address defensive tackle at the draft. So those are my top 10 questions for the Jets to address between now and the draft. So let's see what happens. Quick reminder, we go live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Come on in and join the fun. Everybody have a great rest of your day. I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.